Go for it.
Good morning, beautiful blabbers. It's so precious to be here. I do want to say thank you to the amazing people who developed this platform. I know I say it often, but I don't think I say it often enough. This platform, this live streaming platform of Blab, has been a world changer for me. It's a big thing for me to say that. What about you, Kathleen?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. You know, not the biggest fan of social media, but this is, you know, live streaming is the way to go. But Blab for me is the best. I had a little play with Periscope, but I just feel more comfortable in this kind of situation. So,
yeah, same. And I keep hearing this comment that the amazing Sarah has a business called the Moore Academy, and she's incredible. Yeah, that's right, Christy. It's talking with people, because I made a comment on her community pages about I'm still really struggling with Periscope. This was a couple of weeks ago, and she came back because we've been on the phone, been on Periscope, been on Blab, and she came back with, yeah, not everyone enjoys monologue, Bron. Yeah, that's it. It's the dialogue. It's the interaction that I value the most.
Yeah, I love people and I love hearing their stories. So this is a really good platform to do that.
And I think that opportunity too, Kathleen, for us to be able to get as close as we can to eyeballing without being in the physical presence.
Yeah, exactly. It feels more real.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's I feel like there's these layers of what Blab offers. And the first layer is this opportunity to have a digital eyeball with each other. But then there's this community out there as well who, you know, people can pop in and go, like Greg has. Awesome. Welcome, Greg. People can pop in. It's almost like this, you know, it's kind of a virtual, not a coffee shop, but something way better than that. You know, where you can go, oh, they're here. They're in town. I'll just pop over and say hello. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
I love it too.
Beautiful people. I do hope you're all following each other, because I think that's another thing, you know, that we've learnt to appreciate and hear. People who do show interest in topics obviously have similar interests or want to know more about the topic. So our purpose, both being committed to honouring time, our purpose is to be here for an hour and to share with our Blab community why we feel or believe that self-care comes first. And if it doesn't, then it needs to. But Kathleen and I have also, we've actually created a self-care program, and part of our building that program also includes doing some research with our Blab community to say, if we know that self-care needs to come first, then what are some of the best ways people need to interact with the content? So that's one aspect of our purpose, and another aspect of our purpose to be here is to share, because we're both big sharers. Yeah. We want to share. A tip or a technique, at least one or two each week. And this show will be a regular show. So outside of that, we're always also interested in hearing other people's, what other tools and techniques that they use, because we're always open to learn. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
So... Hey, I do op shop. So, Pete, in Australia, we have what's called opportunity shops, and they're shops where people donate pre-loved stuff, clothes and stuff. And I have discovered over the years that actually op shopping is also very therapeutic for me.
Definitely. I love it.
Yeah, well, I on all these levels, like it's upcycling, it's recycling, it's repurposing, but it's also reimagining what someone else thought was no good. And I go, oh, my God, I'm so grateful that they gave that away, because I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael,
I'm doing a huge clean out at the moment with packing and moving. So it's really nice to be able to, you know, give stuff away as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, Michael, you put me on the spot here. No, I haven't got the clarity on that mission statement yet. I haven't. You've changed your bio. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well done. So Kathleen, for your sake, we were all on Blab last night, yesterday with Ian Murray, Dynamic Speaking is his handle. And Tom, hey, Michael, can you put Tom's handle in, please, man?
Yeah, your sound just went a bit funny, but you're back.
Okay. I don't know what happened, unless it's my internet line. What's that? Is that any better?
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Great. I'd love you to put Tom's handle in there, please, Michael. That would be great to share, because that was awesome. I felt like that was a really big dose of self-care where I just stumbled into this Blab, Kathleen, and gave the, I'm unnicheable. And Tom goes, yeah, hang on a moment. I think I can reflect back. Tell me a bit more. I think I can reflect back something, what I hear that you do. And then invited me to recreate my own mission statement. And given the day I'd had my head, I just couldn't go there. I couldn't dive into, oh, yeah. So that's what Michael's jagging me on about. Yeah, Tom Curran.
Oh, yeah, I saw that tweet that you put. I followed them.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't really go looking for further information, or just, if you kind of introduce someone to me, I kind of just hit like and kind of follow it up later.
Yeah, good. But, can I just say, Michael, in light of my commitment to self-care, in that moment, feeling like I was put in the hot seat and wasn't prepared for it, the best measure I could do was to go, you know what, guys, no.
Yeah.
No, not in this moment. I just really felt it would have created stress and pressure that I didn't need. So that's what that was about. It wasn't an avoidance mechanism. So, Kathleen, is there anything else that we need to lay down around, the time? Did I say we're here for an hour?
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Okay. We are here for an hour.
Yeah, we are here for an hour. But I think you've covered everything that we wanted to cover with people, that want to join in and share, and yeah, for sure.
So will we open up the seat to invite anyone who would like to come in and talk to us about their concept of self-care, and does it come first?
Yeah. How are you feeling, Christy? You feel like jumping in? You've been a bit crook the last couple of times. We haven't seen much of you of late.
And Michael, feel free. Oh, of course, beautiful Pete. If your temple is quite insane.
How y'all doing?
Hey.
You like my bow tie?
I love it.
Oh, I love it. Hey, Christy, that's cool.
These are my amazing new ankle boots.
Oh, very flash.
They are sexy.
Love 'em.
Sex on a stick.
On
a foot.
So, Pete, one of the questions that was in there, maybe shopping satisfies a deep need to hunt and gather, from Greg.
To me, that's what it's like. I don't even care if I come out with something. I don't even care if I'm shopping for myself. It's very much the hunt.
Yeah.
I get it.
I love that, Greg. Thanks for sharing that. That's really
what
cool.
my op shopping is. It's the hunt, the hunt of finding the treasure.
Yeah, I mean, I go to the clearance racks not because of the price necessarily, but that's where all the crazy stuff is, and that's what I love.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, Pete, tell us about self-care for you, brother.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But
so does self-care come first?
Particular thing that trips your little wire, that particular whatever little thing that it is that's, for me it's clothes. I mean, I have to just admit it, you know what I mean? But I think with self-care, it's just finding that one thing that for you is special. And I also think it's really cool if you will leave little gifts for yourself, like maybe leave notes for yourself, or every night before I go to bed, I do something for myself for the next day. So then I wake up, I'll find a little present that I've created for myself, or in the office. At the end of the day, I try to do something to where when I come in, one of the first things I'll see is something I did for me. Because if you had to really
I love that too.
You'd leave a rose on their windshield, or you do something like that. Well, why wouldn't we do that for ourselves?
Definitely.
I love that. I would never have thought of doing something so explicit. I'm just thinking of my office space. I would never have thought of doing something. I'm so doing that. I love that, Pete. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
I love that too. And it really comes back to the fact of, with self-care, it's about learning to treat ourselves like we would our best friend. You know, I mean, why is it so hard to do that? I mean, we're so giving to people that we really love and care for. And yet when it comes to doing that for ourselves, it's such an effort.
You know what I think it is? You know what I think it is? I think we're afraid of our own awesomeness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know in Australia it's the whole tall poppy syndrome. I don't know if you've heard that over in America. It's tall poppy syndrome, where you kind of cut people off at the knees, you know, if they're shining a little bit too bright. So it's kind of the Australian way, in a sense. You know, not everybody, but it is a known thing here.
Getting too big for the britches.
Yeah.
It's a known phenomena that has been like really culturally embedded in our society. Don't get too big for your britches. Don't think that you're above the rest of us. Don't think that, you know, you should be allowed to do special things. You're not anyone too special. There's a unspoken, unwritten rule in our cultural norms in Australia, and that saying, that tall poppy syndrome, I don't think there's another country in the world that has actually come up with a term.
I've never heard that.
So Greg just said crabs in a bucket in America. Have you heard that one, Pete? Crabs in a bucket?
One.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that one.
So we'd say too big for your britches. That's what we would say.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, Christian, good point there. You have to be a little bit of an Aussie battler. That's a common saying here.
Yeah.
I think underneath it all, there's also some of the religious, particularly for Aussies, like, you know, the Society of the Roman Catholics really did leave a big imprint in our. I mean, we've only been colonised for just over 200 odd years, so it's not that, you know, we're still a very young colonised country. So the notion of looking after yourself, historically there wasn't space for that, because you had to make sure you looked after everybody else. And I think that's where we're in a really we're in a very interesting time, where my generation, I'm saying to our children in their 30s, it's really important to pay attention to self-care. And they're like, yeah, we know that. Yeah. You taught us that. Oh, shit, that's right. Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same with teenagers, you know, same. I want them, you know, to feel comfortable to shine.
Yeah, and to also what our eldest daughter taught me on this topic was to remember that the notion of you can do whatever you want also comes with a whole lot of challenges. So the concept of, you know what, honey, the world is your oyster, you know, the sky's the limit, go for gold, you can do anything. She's come back to me as a young woman and gone, Mum, that's full of shit. There's a whole lot of hard stuff in there, in the reality of creating the new experience. And, you know, looking back, I'm looking at her experience and I'm going, I really understand why you're saying that. I see it differently now, because I've got a very different belief system. Whereas from her worldview, she's going, yeah, no, you're living on another planet, old lady, lovingly.
But, you know, when we're kind of, go on, sorry, Pete.
I was going to say, they really don't have the framework that we really had, because everything is so shifting, you know. I mean, I always told my daughter, I said, there's going to be a time in your life when there's going to be this huge paradigm shift. I mean, I come from where we didn't have VCRs or microwaves, and we had 4 channels, and if the president was on one of them, he was on all of them, you know. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know what the shift will be for you, but there will be some shift. But I think it's because kids really don't have, you know, that framework. And I'm finding the millennials are either like really get it, or are so out of tune they don't even know what to do. I mean, they're like either so going for it, or they're just sitting at home playing video games. There's no like middle ground to it.
It's interesting, isn't it?
So it comes back to balance again, you know, finding that middle ground.
Well, and I think one of the challenges for millennials, especially, you know, on this topic of self-care, is there is a saturation point within particularly social media, of, you know, do this, say that, wear this, look like that, make sure you're on this channel, make sure you're... So while there's this incredible sense of you've got all of these resources at your fingertips, there's also what I'm seeing is this bucket load of pressure to be seen to be of a particular mindset. And when I look back, I kind of go, well, gee, man, those years really from your 20s to your 40s, that 20-year time frame, I think that's been one of the most fundamental learning zones where you're kind of just in this intensive, maybe it's just my old lady worldview, but where you're just in this intensive live the experience and try and find your way through it. When I look back, I don't think someone could have made me attend to self-care. People tried. I had people saying, Bron, you might like to try this. You might like to do that. You might like to think about, Couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
So that makes me think of, you know, one of the core principles of self-care has to be the permission slip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what we've talked about in the development of our self-care program, Pete, that Kathleen and I are writing. It's every single thing that we've talked about, every component that we've looked at to include in this 12-week intensive program, every single theme, hey, girlfriend, it just kept coming back
comes back.
Permission.
Yeah. But even when ourselves. So that's what you got to. That's what we've got to try and tap into, is being able to do that for ourselves. But all the people that we've met along the way, like you said, Bron, that have kind of have said to you, like, try this, try that. And even though you may not have taken them up on that in the moment, it's planted a seed. I believe
Definitely.
that we've had seeds planted all our lives. We've heard different things. I know that there's been different things presented to me, and 10 years down the track, I opened that book that was given to me that sat and gathered dust for 6 months before I gave it back.
Yeah.
And I didn't read it. And then it's come back, you know, like 10 years later, and I've read it. You know, I remember hearing about Ho'oponopono years and years and years ago through my Reiki master. And then literally 10 years later, you know, I read a book about it, and I went, you know, yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm so doing that, you know, and I constantly said the statement, and, you know, but so many things, you know, relationship stuff, self-care stuff, you know, we are offered it, but it's all about timing for me.
Exactly. That was exactly what I was about to say, which again, when we think about this concept of the need to give ourselves permission, because great question, Pete, like, who are we asking permission of? Well, if we're not giving ourselves permission, then what we'll do is continually run around the world, which I've done, trying to seek approval, trying to seek validation. You know, can someone tell me I'm okay? Whereas in actual fact, the only, you know, the key keeper is our authentic self. And I wonder if one of the acknowledgement statements we need to factor into this work, Kathleen, is around giving ourselves permission to accept that timing is everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot of pressure in you know, you were saying there's a lot of pressure, especially on this generation with social media and the World Wide Web. It's opened us up to so much information that we kind of get a bit bombarded and overwhelmed sometimes. And, you know, there's this being offered and this being offered, and it's like you never really know. It can be quite confusing which way to go. So it is about learning to step away from that, taking maybe a few of those concepts and seeing which one resonates, but you need to allow space for that to happen. If we're constantly here in front of the computers going, oh, that sounds really good, that sounds really good, that sounds really good, but, you know, how do we know? Yes. We need to step back and step away, and, you know, it's very confusing with how much information we're bombarded with every single day. And, you know, I'm glad I didn't have any of this when I was growing up.
Yes,
like in my teenage years and in my 20s, I think. And I think with my self-worth and belief systems that were in place back then, I don't think it would have served me very well, like it's not for some people.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Which is a bit sad.
Absolutely. Pete, I wonder if we might, if you're up for it, brother, if we were to invite you into an opportunity to help us do some research for the development of this self-care program. If we were to, pardon? I love it. If we were to ask you a couple of questions on the premise of wanting to then,
so excited.
Well, on the premise of then wanting to offer another opportunity. So if we were to ask you right now in this moment, if you're open to it and you don't need to share, if you don't want to do the sharing, but if you were to think about something that is currently really challenging you.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. So from there, you've got this sense in your mind of something that's really challenging you. Could you give yourself permission to consider doing one thing different that could change the dynamic of that challenge?
That's what I have to do if I want to change it.
Hello. Yeah? So you can give yourself permission to do that? Yeah?
Oh, we've lost him.
Oh, dang. So you know what? This is what I find really fascinating.
When?
And please, anyone else who's in our community who'd like to pop into that other spare seat, please feel free to do so. So what I find absolutely fascinating about this this kind of work that we do, Pete, is every single time I have asked that kind of a question, like, could you give yourself permission? It's not a, will you do that now? It's, could you give yourself? There's every single time there's a, yeah. Okay, so now that you have given yourself permission, what I sense and tend to see happen is that it's like there's this formula being created in the subconscious and unconscious, coming into the conscious mind of, yeah, okay, I'm ready now. Yep, got that sorted. Yep. Is that what I just sensed happened for you?
Oh, well, it's a transition for me. I've been knowing that because I know if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same thing. So, I've started allowing more and not being so caught up on what my efforts are going to bring forth, my inspired actions, but just knowing to keep my focus on what it is that I want and not to get so caught up in the time frame or how or who or when, just to allow. That's total space I'm getting into. And if any expert looked at my money situation like that, they would run screaming off the side of the cliff. And I'm like, all is well. Yeah. Bills are paid. Yeah. Food in the fridge. Yeah. Nice new bow tie on my neck.
Hello.
New pair of ankle boots.
That's what I'm talking about, girl. Did you see them? They rock.
They're beautiful. And I think one of the golden things about this kind of acceptance and allowance, Pete, is that we actually really know on a deep level that money is only one currency.
Interesting. I'm doing a webinar this Thursday on wealth and abundance and money. We're actually going to do a Ho'oponopono on money.
I love it.
We're going to forgive money and we're going to forgive ourselves for the way we've treated money.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because we
I
make
love
money
it.
a god, and money does not want to be a god.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we say, when I have this much money, I'll do this.
Yeah.
And when I have that much money, I'll be this.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Or you're not. And the money follows.
That's it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right. That's right.
So
Which
true.
is, again, it's the permission, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're afraid of our own light. We're afraid of our own power. So that's one way we strip ourselves of that power and that right. It gives us an excuse. I mean, some people take an issue with it with me, but the same thing correlates into health, bad relationships.
Yeah.
There's so many of those things that we call into our life because we want to have an excuse.
Well, and it's also attached to, in my world, it's attached to the belief system and the what's trapped in the cellular memory around value, self-value, self-worth. So if people haven't got a sense of self-value and self-worth, which, hello, I was that person for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't say that from a judgmental perspective. I've walked that path. And I think one of the most challenging things for me was to give myself permission to attend to my self-care. As you both know, I almost died through literally through neglecting every level of self-care, mental, physical, spiritual. The only thing that hadn't fallen apart was the financial, because that was the interesting factor, right? I had never earned so much money in my life, ever. I was on 6 figures and it was just phenomenal. I kept getting promoted and promoted and promoted. I'd never been so miserable. I'd never been so unwell. I'd never been so disconnected. So going from earning that huge salary, walking away from that and sitting in a place of going, you're very unwell now because you did almost die. This is about recalibrating with what's really important. I went back to earning less than what I earned probably 30 years ago. But you know what? I had never felt so, I had never actually felt that deep sense of peace and contentment. And I had, through my yoga journey of self-care, I was taught how to set sankalpas, like a goal. And I had this goal for 20 years, right? And it was in that year, 2010, of being so ill, but so at peace, that I was like, oh my God, I've achieved that sankalpa. How did that happen? Because I'm not earning money.
Ladies, I have to step out for a minute, but I'll try to come back if you're still going, okay?
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Pete. Yeah,
Pete,
thanks
really
for jumping in.
Now, someone else just came in and I didn't quite catch.
Sarah, and I love her tag is free to be flawed. That's beautiful.
Sarah had her first day on Blab yesterday. I was on her first Blab. Sarah, if you want to jump in the seat, please do.
Please come in.
She's a Brizzy girl.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, stay-at-home mum, got a gorgeous little girl.
Yep.
Pardon me. There she is. Yeah, we did have a great chat, Sarah, so please feel free to jump into that seat. We really are keen to share, hear from you what self-care means to you. Share some tips, because I think you've come in a bit late. Yep. G'day, Ray, how you going? But by all means, please feel free to jump in that seat. So just continuing with that theme, Kathleen, for you as well, you've shared that self-care wasn't always high on your agenda.
No,
what was
that's okay. Yeah, if you get a chance, Sarah, jump on in at any time.
Yeah.
We understand. Been there.
We sure do.
Sorry, Bron. Ask me that again.
So just talking about how self-care wasn't always something really high on your agenda.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I know we've asked these questions and shared answers before, but there's always new people that come into these conversations as well. So I think it's worthy to share again. What was your turning point?
Having kids. For me, it was definitely having my first daughter, because, at the end of the day, something shifted in me that I wanted. I thought about having this little girl and, I wanted so much better for her. I wanted her to feel so much better about herself than I did growing up. And not that I came from a loving family, we were supported and loved and, it was good, but there was obviously something that, I don't know, I guess it's the guidance through those teenage years that I feel if I missed out on anything, it was that. And it's just generational. Like, I have no resentment there. I understand, parents didn't talk about certain things, it was just the time. It was really the time. But I've really taken that on board to how I then dealt with my stepdaughter who's older, like she's 20 now. So, so I had her in my life, and then I had my own children. It was like, wow, if I want better for them, I have to actually be better, because I'm the role model here. So, that was my turning point. That's when I really, I did along the way, things happen and I would go and do things for myself, might have had an injury or, not well. Like I'd try and source something, it wasn't just the doctor. I was trying to find things. But, I want to get to a maintenance program. That's where I wanted to get to. Like, I want to be able to have things in place before they get down to, rock bottom. Yeah, it was, how many times do we have to hit rock bottom? So it was that maintenance program, I guess, I was looking for. So, it was the turning point for me. I just started looking for different people, different alternative actions, you know. Yeah, and, you know, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and I did come across amazing people, and I never thought I would be doing what I do today back then, you know. There's no way, you know, I was on a healing journey for me, but because I am a sharer and because I want what I got and experienced for other people in my life, it kind of just turned into that naturally and organically, where I become someone who helped and supported and held space. So I think I was never going to have kids. I was never going to get married, never have kids. I was going to be a gypsy forever, you know, and I, you know, married my husband 6 weeks after meeting him. We've got 3 beautiful daughters, and I've got a stepdaughter as well out of that. And, you know, I'm really grateful, because that has what's helped me grow and change and turned me on that journey home. I've come home and I look after myself so much better now.
It's so important, isn't it? I know in my early parenting years, and as a young mum, 21 with first baby, that was definitely I have to get the noise in my head sorted out, and not even knowing how to do that. I knew that was, if I couldn't do it for me, I had to do all I could for that darling girl. And then as the next 2 brothers come along, there was, you know, even more of a need to find, like you, to look around and find the people who could help guide and direct me to be the best mama I could be. Because I just knew that the first moment my first child was placed in my arms, I knew there was never, ever, ever going to be anything more important for me to do than attend to her well-being.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I can just remember as a 21-year-old just crying and crying and crying and thinking, how am I going to do this? I'm not a grown-up and I'm now responsible for this person. Honestly, it was a phenomenal experience for me. And I, like you, felt very blessed to then be, you know, like people I just seemed to attract. And it was largely women, older women who could really guide and direct and teach me. So I felt like I spent 20 years in this university of life learning from these amazing women. When we left my hometown and moved north, I was searching for those. I went searching for those women and I couldn't find them, and felt quite sad because I didn't know who they were, but I knew that what I'd had. And it just struck me last year. I sitting having my famous cup of tea out on the front deck, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've become that old lady. It was a beautiful feeling though, you know, like, because I was thinking I had these women when I was in my early 30s, I had these women in their 50s who just shared their wisdom with me. And I was sitting on my deck going, oh wow, I have become the old crone. I am in that phase of my life now. Which is, it's a phenomenal place for me to be, because I've had to learn the hard way how important self-care is.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
if we're not attending to ourselves, we can't actually be of service to others.
So I can see there's a real theme with you and I, and even with Sarah, you know, that it's actually taken us having our children to motivate and inspire us to be better. So what about people that don't have children, or men? And, you know, what is it going to take? Or not that men can't have children. Of course, they're going to have their own children. But, you know, what about those that don't have children? I wonder what inspires them, or what's the shifting point for them? So thank you today seems to be. And can I just say, I'm surprised. I have to say I'm surprised, Bron, when you said that you didn't feel like you were a grown-up at 21. Because, you know, our generation, your generation, and the generations before all had children very early.
Yeah.
You know, like 21 wasn't young. Like I would think today, in this day and age, if my daughter was 21 having a baby, I would consider that quite young. Yeah. But in the generations beforehand, that was normal.
Yeah.
So for you to say that you didn't feel like a grown-up then, that surprises me.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I think it was having directly helped my mother raise her 3 youngest children. I'd been exposed. I knew what it was to really be in that co-parenting kind of role, because Mum had 8 children, so she was, you know, it was a tough gig for her. But the weight of the responsibility of being a parent, and I was a single parent, it was, you know, it was a tough time.
Yeah.
I do just remember her dad was there at that time. Sorry, but it was a shaky relationship.
Yeah.
But the weight of the responsibility of getting it right and being in charge of this little person's life was. Oh my God! Yeah, I do. I can remember just thinking, I'm not a grown up. I don't know how to do this. Enormous, and also on reflection, realizing that clearly I didn't value myself enough to know how to take better care of me, because I needed her to be the motivation to learn how to take better care of me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I felt the same.
And I think that in itself has been a really interesting part of the journey, and not an uncommon one.
Yep.
At all. If anyone else would like to jump in that seat, please do feel free to. Yeah, that's right, Sarah. I can remember that, just thinking, oh my God, this little human being here that is now in my charge, so I'm responsible for. Frightening.
I was 29 when I had my baby, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
Hey, I'm gonna see how I go. Someone else wants to say hello.
Hello. Beautiful eyes.
So
Look at your beautiful eyes.
Princess.
Say hello.
Look at you.
Face is looking at you. She's gorgeous.
Look at you, big girl.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
So that's Poppy. So if it's a little, if I keep getting distracted, that's why. But that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So I feel
we're
like
all
you
parents.
understand. Yeah, yeah. It's just so cool hearing you talk about this whole thing, because definitely having a baby is what's really taught me, like, I need to take care of myself before I can properly take care of her. Thank you, honey. Thank you. But finding the time to do that is the hard part.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? There's a really big theme of that. The problem of that is time, you know?
Yeah.
It's just now it's the biggest problem that people have when I ask about self-care. Yes, we need to give ourselves permission, but it's the time factor that people struggle with the most, I feel. Do you agree, Bron?
I do, because that is so directly related to our sense of self-worth and self-value, where, you know, we can schedule time for important meetings with other people. And honor those meetings, honor those commitments, and yet rarely do we ever factor in, I'm going to put an hour in my diary today for me. It's taken me decades to learn that. No, Sarah, but you know what? If you could give yourself permission right here, right now, in this moment, to start considering that you might be able to do that, could you do that?
Yeah, I think so. The thing I find so hard is she goes down for a 3-hour nap every day. But then there's so much stuff that needs to be done. Because when she's up, I really try, like, I know right now I'm chatting to you guys, but I really try and spend that time with her. I don't want to get caught up in housework, and I like to sit and play and give her time. So then when she's asleep, I'm like, right, washing, cleaning, you know, and I don't know how to prioritize that. That's what I struggle with. Hi, baby.
This is awesome, Sarah. I'm so glad you came in, because at the beginning of this conversation, we had, like, before we came in, Kathleen and I were saying, like, this is such a cool opportunity for us to do some research on who this self-care program really is for. And
sorry, she wants to keep looking, so I just
that's okay, Poppy. That's fine.
Hello.
And you know, I think one of the important factors around what I'm hearing you say is that it's difficult to prioritize time for you. Imagine that it was an absolute essential that every time Poppy has a 3-hour sleep, within that 3 hours, and this is just asking you to imagine it. Imagine that there were 15 minutes of sacred self time in that 3 hours, and within that 15 minutes, that 15 minutes was then going to give you a greater sense of being able to be more relaxed, be more present, be more
Sorry, it's
productive,
breaking up a little bit. Yeah.
and to be more at ease.
Okay.
Imagine 15 minutes of time for you that could then actually buy you back time.
And what do you think that would look like? Yeah, well, I guess that's a good point. So just doing nothing, like?
No. I want to give you a tool.
Yeah.
Because quite often it's too confronting and too scary for us to think about doing nothing when there's all these other things that need to be done.
Yeah.
This is when I was 27 and I had 3 children. Our youngest daughter, she was about 11 months. She had 2 hernias. She used to cry a lot.
Wow.
My husband used to work 12-hour days. Our son was full on ADD. Our eldest daughter was this quiet, pleasant, easygoing child. And I used to think, thank God every day that at least one of them. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I live next door to this amazing Swami, this yoga Swami, who she taught me a technique that has literally saved my life. Now, it took me a long time to really understand the full benefit of this particular technique.
And it wasn't coffee.
No, it wasn't coffee. No. as a young mum, and living next door to me, you know, like I've got 3 children and life was full on. She knew that what I wasn't getting was time to actually just relax, be quiet, be still, and go within. So she taught me a technique where if I could just do this technique for 15 to 20 minutes a day, I would buy myself back 3 to 4 hours of deep, uninterrupted sleep. Yeah. And embedded in the technique is a whole stack of other stuff. But the hardest thing for me to do, so the technique's called Yoga Nidra. The hardest thing for me to do the technique was to give myself permission to do it.
Yeah, that's for me. That's the hardest thing, because when you're trying to relax, like your head's just buzzing with like, oh, I got to fold that washing, got to put a new lot on, get dinner ready, and clean the kitchen, and the benefit of this particular technique acknowledges all of that. That's why she taught it to me. Oh, okay, cool. Because I came up with all of that. Yeah, but I'm too busy, and I can't lie down because then I'm thinking about 100 things. And every single thing I came up with to say why I can't do it, she had a beautiful, this is what it will do, and this is why I want you to do this, and this is why this is this particular technique, and why I'm not saying something else. So I was like, I just reached a point one day where I went, all right, I give over. I just give over. I'm going to do it. Yeah. That's cool.
Can I just say that I put the link to a Yoga Nidra relaxation from Bron's webpage just in the comments there. So if you wanted to come back later,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a physical movement. It is literally a mind-body deep relaxation, quiet time. But you know what? Even if it's not quiet, even if there's a whole lot of stuff around you, even if the room's messy, you can still do it. You can still get the benefit.
Oh, that's my struggle, is trying to relax when there's mess.
I get it.
I really struggle to do that. I like to have everything clean and a candle burning, and then I feel good. But
so that kind of takes me back to someone who is, you know, when you look at all the psychic abilities that are out there, we know quite well of clairvoyance, but there's clairsentience, and that's when we feel into things. So people with a strong clairsentient ability can't have too much chaos in their surroundings because it just puts them off. And I can relate very strongly to that, Sarah. And I know Bron can too. And I'm sure Pete can too, because I think when you're sensitive, you kind of need some kind of, you know, order. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so
with the toddler, that's like unheard of.
Exactly. You know, but when you've got if she's sleeping 2 or 3 hours, and you, like you say, can give yourself something like that. You know, I kind of, the thing that used to blow my mind when I first had my baby was how much I could actually get done in an hour. Like, I never realized how much housework I could actually do in 1 hour. So even setting that time to maybe go hard and get those things done that you need to, and then sit down and stop, like give yourself that hour, that first hour she's asleep, to clean and get some order. Doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe we need to let go of that perfectionism a little, give yourself permission to do that.
Definitely.
And then take that little bit of time for what Bron's just offered as a tool. And then if there is time after that, then you can just potter around, because you'll be in a better state to be able to probably achieve more anyway. But you know, if your thing is that you need that order straight away, we'll start with that. You know, don't stress.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think also another factor, like I think I was talking to you, I don't know if you were there yesterday when I was talking about it, Bronwyn, but I also have a very bad injury, like a nerve damage problem all through my arm and my shoulder. So the more I use my arm, the more pain I'm going to be in at the end of the day. So it's like when you have to choose between picking up your child and holding it or doing 4 loads of washing, it's like that's also been something I've had to learn about, is prioritizing and balancing that and trying to do some mindfulness about the pain and stuff so it doesn't kind of get on top of me.
I think that yoga nidra is going to help you with that pain, isn't it, Bron? Like, you know, when you're focusing on your body.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're doing fantastic, Sarah. Like, do you find yourself actually being able to stop and go, "Oi, Sarah Wiseman, you freaking rock"?
Yeah,
I have done that. I have done that actually a lot. I've learned a lot about that lately.
Good.
I actually did a video on YouTube called "I'm Not Perfect and It's Okay," because I just am so sick of this society making women especially feel like until they look a certain way, they're not going to be good enough. And this injury has just taken away every like social thing. Every box I ticked before, it's kind of stripped that away from me. And I've had to really look at myself and think, okay, getting out of bed in the morning and like going and loving my baby, I'm doing so good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm proud.
Yeah.
You know, like when the world's trying to tell me not to be proud of my body, I had, for that first year of her life, I had to say, no, I am proud of my body. My body's feeding her. My body's loving her. It's looking after my husband, and I'm getting out of bed. Like, I don't care what the world says that my body should be right now. Right now, I'm proud of my body. Like, I've learned so much about myself and to just measure things differently than what the pressure is to measure them by, if you know what I mean. But so I am proud of myself.
Good, Sarah, because you know we've all got our own challenges to learn from and work through. I know Pete has Pete's been through an enormous journey of physical
Hi, Pete.
Recalibrating, redesigning. Pete, we love Pete.
Yeah,
Pete's in the US. And
I just love the bow tie.
He had you at the bow tie.
Pete, flash the sexy boots, doll, please.
Yeah, we got new boots as well.
Does the boots?
Oh, boots.
Wow.
Shiny.
Very nice. Very nice.
Look how limber I am.
That flexibility. I'm impressed.
Hey, Tim, welcome.
Say, I love how you are talking because, we really are our most efficient, when we really allow ourselves to get aligned with ourselves. We have this whole idea of that time is the same, the time is this definite thing, but there's a real difference between when you're aligned with yourself and when you're not aligned with yourself.
Agree.
As far as time and space is just a concept that we've come up with, the idea of, so what I would love for you to do, Sarah, I would love for you to come up with a wide erase board where you write down everything you need to accomplish, everything you think, just do a mind dump. This is everything. Yeah. And then you make 2 columns, one with me and one with the universe. You write down everything you can do, and you put everything else on the universe. You say, universe, this is your crap. You take care of it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm doing that today.
You gave me this amazing.
Sorry, I lost connection for a second there. I heard do 2 columns. I'm just trying to go closer to my modem.
One that says me and one that says the universe. You write down everything you can do.
Yeah, I love that.
You write everything universe, and then you have a come to Jesus meeting with the universe. You say, you gave me this beautiful baby, you gave me this beautiful wife, you gave me this beautiful husband, and I know you would not me if I could not take care of it.
That's awesome.
Get this done.
I love that, Pete. That's awesome.
I do have a strong faith as well, which I also rely on, and I just think why would I have been given this if I wasn't going to do it? And and I've just had to change my perspective of doing it well. And it doesn't always, doing it well, being a good wife doesn't always mean having all the washing done. It just means greeting my husband greeting my husband with a smile, you know, because
yeah, darling.
I've
would
seen
you rather come home to a
happy wife.
rather come home to a pile of clean, dry laundry and a wife that's worn out, or a wife that's baby?
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
One.
I love it. Sarah, I'm just going to mute you for a moment just while little Poppy darling girl has her moment with Mama.
Sorry.
No, darling,
I think
you're
she's
right.
done. She just wanted attention.
Oh, did
But
she?
she's
Precious
finished
girl.
now. Yeah.
That's my nonna. The nonna in me just goes,
I love
precious
that.
darling baby.
Thank you for understanding. Yeah. She's just pushing the suitcase around. So,
Gorgeous.
if she does it, I'll mute it. But yeah.
No, that's
thank you for
quite
that.
okay.
I love that, Pete. That's such a great exercise. I like lists. So to kind of do one like that in my face, it's great. Yeah.
And I've done that before. I kept saying to my husband, I got so much to do, and he was like, what do you have to do? And I could have just listed off, but one time I just wrote down everything I actually did have to do, and it almost made me feel like justified. Like I looked at all of the stuff on this list and thought, okay, I'm not over exaggerating. Like my life's actually really busy. Like, and I'm doing the best I can. And he looked at it and was like, crap.
Oh,
like, yeah.
Which
like,
is
wow,
good.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Men really trained that our job is to be providers. Our job is to be, the one to bring it in.
Yeah.
And we usually so exhaust ourselves over the worry and the concern over making sure that you're cared for. That usually the men would come home exhausted and thinking that really the home is your realm. And that's not, and you also, and men, believe it or not, men sometimes have to bonk us over the head.
Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes you think, like y'all are talking about, about me being a real empath. I think because I'm a man, because I had a real abusive childhood, I can walk into a room and be completely in my own space and be completely clueless. I mean, people have to, and people will like dance around and try to tell me things, and sometimes, no, just tell me.
Yeah. I learned that pretty quickly.
You don't want to do it in an accusing way, but you want to say, honey, when you pick up that laundry and your muscles bulge, that just does something. I mean, that's, you got to find a way to approach it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sarah, can I also say
it just makes me feel like a real woman.
You're my hero.
That's what you're for.
Sarah, can I say to you also one of the really interesting strategies that I've used with working with stay-at-home mums has been to help actually feed back to them what their job description. So I do strategic leadership development as a part of my work. But I've actually sat with I worked with this amazing group of stay-at-home mums a couple of years ago, and we went through and wrote down a position description for their job as a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
We covered off on the work health and safety aspect of the work, the financial planning.
Wow.
The human resource development work that's constantly required to be tuning in and understanding where everyone's at.
The medical side.
Yes. So what we came to was actually that most women, particularly when you're the stay-at-home mum, you're actually the CEO of your organisation, and your organisation is your family.
Yeah, right.
And the level of work that you are required to do, wearing a number of hats, is enormous. And when it's like with that particular group of mums, when we developed that job description and they all took one home and said to their partners, can you have a look at this and see what you think? Their partners were blown away. They're like, holy, had never thought of it like that before. And the value that the mums felt, because they were able to go, you know what, my role really is important. This work that I'm doing is critical. And has a huge impact on my entire organisation.
Yeah.
My family.
Yeah, I said that to my cousin the other day. My cousin has 4 kids. She started when she was like 17 or something. So she's my age. She's 29 and has 4 little ones. And I said to her, like, go back through what you did yesterday and actually list in your head everything you accomplished, because with my pain in my shoulder and stuff, I find that makes me feel encouraged, because I'll be like, you know, I'll think, well, I got her up, I fed her, I gave her a shower, changed her, cleaned the house, did the dishes, took her to the physio, then took her to family dinner. Like, when you actually list it, you're like, wow, but it feels at the time like you're not doing anything important. But if I just found in retrospect, I was like, no, I actually did things today. Like,
yeah.
So can I encourage you to take that one step further, because we're going to come close to wrapping it up. But that beautiful technique of being able to reflect retrospectively.
Yeah.
Can I encourage you to give yourself permission to use that also as a proactive and preventative strategy?
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you mean?
So to wake up of a morning and go, okay, so you know what? I don't know what I'm going to be able to achieve in this day, but I know that whatever it is, it will be what needs to be done.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah.
And then
to set the intention.
No, I hadn't thought of it.
And that list that Pete said before, even if you wake up with that in mind, what Bronwyn said, and then make that list so it's in front of you and you've got that out, you know, what a great way to start your day.
Because I've been there. Oh my God, I wish I had known me 30 years ago.
Me too, Bron. Where were you 20 years ago? No, 15. Darcy's 15. No, 20.
Not who I was.
Yeah.
So look, it is almost time. Sarah, I'm guessing your internet's letting you down, honey. But I want to say thank you to everyone for coming in, because I feel like this has been just an incredible opportunity. I've got a technique I'm going to take away. I love that list building strategy that Pete shared. Yeah, I feel like we've got some really good insights from Sarah about as we're developing the self-care program. What we didn't get to ask was, what are some of the best ways that we can help get the message out there, like help actually share this kind of opportunity. So we're going to play tag team. Kathleen's going to facilitate next week's session. So I think we'll just keep this conversation open. Pete, I have to tell you, my heart feels so happy seeing you here.
Yeah, me too.
It's just gold. Thank you so much.
Y'all know I totes love y'all.
Yeah. I just love your input. Yeah. Love y'all. I love that. Love y'all.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah. It's got to have the head wobble as well.
Let me try it. Love you all. How's that?
All right.
Good on you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Blessings. Lovely to meet you, Sarah, if you're still there. And thanks so much, Pete. I'll see you soon. Love you, Bron.
Love you, Dale. Bye.
Bye.